welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and this is the Astral Library. Oh my god, guys, it's almost the end of June. In fact, the day I'm recording this, it is June 23rd. So we got like a week left of June and time has flown by so quickly. I cannot believe it's almost been a year since this channel started, and what a year it's been. Honest to God, just like what a year it has been. I was actually tagged by Traben's Tomes to do this challenge, but it was already on my radar. So, you know, Traben just kind of gave me that little nudge to do that. And that, of course, is the mid-year book freakout tag. The mid-year book freakout tag is a little kind of staple here on BookTube where it's the middle of the year. We're all talking about the things we read and we loved and we're excited for in the future for the last half of the year. So there are 14 questions in total, which I will leave in the description below. And I have them here on my phone, so I can read them, you know, and not fumble my words more than usual. We're just gonna go ahead and dive straight into it so we can kind of have a little recap of what has the year been like so far, and what have I read, what have I loved, and what have I hated. First question is the best book so far. This is always a really tough question because, like, how am I gonna quantify best? Is it gonna be the book I've most enjoyed? Is it one that surprised me the most? Is it just the one I was like really anticipating and then I end up loving it? There's so many categories and ways in which this particular category could go. And so after much deliberation, I decided the best book I actually read so far was The Adventures of Mina al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. So I believe I talked about this in my last year's mid-year freakout and like what is the most beautiful book you obtain, because look at this baby, look at those sprayed edges, look at this cover, and then we got a beautiful map. Oh, this book is to die for. And I actually got around to reading it this year via the audiobook, and oh my god, I loved every second of this book. It was so much fun. I love the main character. I love the style of narration. This is a book that has like our main character describing the events, and we're pulled out every now and again to get some more history and lore on this world. The characters are so much fun. It was definitely like a found family feel, and I was just so excited every time I got in my car to listen to this book. So much fun. I enjoyed this start to finish, even though I think the audiobook was 16 hours long, and I was listening onto it 1x speed because I was listening to the physical CDs and you couldn't really skip forward, but it didn't feel like 16 hours. It went by so quickly and it was so much fun, and I just really loved Amina as a character. I thought this was a standalone, and I was really sad as I was approaching the end of the story because I just wanted so much more, but then I found out that this is gonna be a series, and I am so excited for the next book. I cannot wait to dive into more of Amina al-Sarafi's journeys and to get to see more of her friends and to be on this wacky ship and have all these wacky interactions with various magical creatures. It was amazing. 10 out of 10 read. Loved every second of it, and it's gorgeous. Don't you just love when a book is so pretty and you get to enjoy it? It's the best combination ever. This is actually the first Shannon Chakraborty book I've ever read, and so when I came in the mail, I'm like, oh, it's so pretty, but I knew nothing about going in. I know a lot of people love her City of Brass, or like, I think it's a Davenport trilogy. Hear people rave about that, and I haven't. But this was just like the perfect way to introduce her to me, because I think this story is everything I kind of want. It's very adventurous, it's very powerful female lead, it's got a whole bunch of really funny side characters and wacky side quests. 10 out of 10 recommend. By far the best book I've read so far this year. Okay, the next question is, what is the best sequel you've read? Now, this has actually been a really good year of reading sequels for me and like finishing series, but I don't know if I've read like a lot of amazing sequels. I do have, you can kind of see here, this is my sequels TBR shelf where I have like all the series I'm like in the middle of or I'm starting very soon and I need to continue. So these are the sequels I should be getting to. None of these made the list, of course, because they're still on the TBR shelf. But the sequel that I did really enjoy, which was actually the series finale, was Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is part of the Illuminae Files, which is a sci-fi trilogy with mixed media in it. It's a super quick read, it's super fun. I don't remember why I picked this up. I think I might have picked this up for a 24 for 2024 challenge, or maybe picked it up for a readathon. I don't remember why I picked this up this year, but I'm glad I did because it was so much fun. It was a great conclusion to a series that I really fell in love with years ago, and I loved how all the characters came together in this one because each book follows a different set of main characters, and I feel feel like this is the one where they all kind of like blend together to the fullest extent. And I feel like that was really well done, because even though we were given a new set of characters to follow for the majority of the book, it was really nice to see the old characters also get a lot of time to shine in a series finale. This was so much fun, super quick to read. It wasn't my favorite of the series. I think Gemina book 2 was my favorite of the series, but this one was really, really close to it. I again loved all the characters. I loved getting to see all the action going on and to just finish a series out that's been on my TBR for so long. And now I can safely say that the Illuminae Files is one of my favorite sci-fi reads. Next question. What is a new release that I want to read? There's so many. There's so many new releases I want to read. And it was really hard to pick one, because when I see a book that I really, really want, I just tend to grab it, or like I put it on my cart and I think about it for a while. But this was a book that I was unable to turn down once I saw it in stores, and I'm glad I picked it up, because that is, of course, Evocation by S.T. Gibson. So this has been floating around quite a bit, because there was a fairy lit edition that was so pretty. It was so pretty. It was red. It had like a really cool like hangman sprayed edge, and I was obsessed with it. Even though I've never read anything by S.T. Gibson, I have no idea if I'm gonna love their writing. I have no idea if it's gonna be an amazing story. I just fell in love with the book itself. It was a beautiful piece of art. And so when I went to Barnes & Noble with a friend for her birthday, I saw this edition in store, and just look at it. It's not red, but it's blue, which is one of my other favorite colors, and it's stunning. Absolutely stunning. And it's got a really pretty edition, and it's got foiling on the inside, and just, it's so pretty. And what I really like about this is that it is witchy in nature, and it is a gay romance, which I'm a fan of, I'm gonna be honest. I saw this edition and I was really excited to read it, because it's new and it's not Fairy Loot prices or reseller prices. So I have a chance to read this book and to see if I'm going to enjoy it at a much more reasonable price. And so I'm very excited to get to this one. I'm trying to finish this book and another book by the end of June, because Pride. I'm trying to prioritize LGBTQIA plus romances. And so this is like one of the ones I really want to get to soon. But as I said, I'm running out of time. But I am very excited to start this one, hopefully relatively soon. Kind of going with that, with the new releases I want to read that are already out. The next question is my most anticipated release for the next half of the year. There are two answers I have for this. My first one is the new Adventure Zone comic, which is The Suffering Games. And oh my god, I'm gonna put the cover on screen because it's out now and I'm so excited. That is my favorite D&D podcast, and it's being slowly published in comic book form, and they're always just so much fun to read and to look at. And I love the way that they reimagine the story just a little bit to kind of like make it fresh and new. Every issue is so much fun. I've collected each and every one of them. I have the first one in 2 copies because one of them signed by the DM. I love it. I'm so excited for it. And the second release I'm really excited for is Somewhere Beyond the Sea, which is the sequel to The House on the Cerulean Sea, which was one of my favorite reads when that book came out. I'm a huge TJ Klune fan. I love his writing. I've fallen in love ever since I read Wolf Song. I adored House on the Cerulean Sea. It was such a beautiful story that was heartbreaking in a different way than his work usually is. And so I'm really excited to see the continuation of that story, to see all my little demonic children again, my little supernatural gremlins, and as well as to hopefully get more of the romance between our 2 main characters from the last book. I'm very excited for it, and I cannot wait to fall in love once more with that world and those characters. And also the cover is just so beautiful. We also have that, I'll throw that on screen. It's so pretty. It's so freaking gorgeous, and I cannot wait to have both of them on my shelves so I can display them in all their glory. Those are all the things I'm excited for. Now we have to do the thing where we're talking about what sucked this year. And the question I have for you is, what was my biggest disappointment for the year? Now, I've read a couple of things that I'm like overall disappointed with. In my last vlog, I had Sharp Objects, which I really didn't like. I had Gideon the Ninth, which I didn't love. But the book, the creme de la creme that topped it all off in my like highest disappointment was The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew. Now, this is a book that I saw being recommended on BookTube by Carrie Can Read. I love Carrie Can Read. She's so fun. Check her channel out. She's amazing. She had read this book and she said it gives her the Raven Cycle vibes, but only if it is Blue and Gansey. And I love the Blue and Gansey relationship from the Raven Cycle. I adore that relationship. It was so much fun. I love the tension. I love the late night calls. When I talk to her, I can sleep. That shit lives in my head rent free, okay? And so a whole book with that dynamic? Oh, I was so excited. And the premise sounded really, really interesting because we had a girl who could talk to shadows. And there was a boy who died and he was brought back to life because of our main character. And they're meeting again for the first time in college. And this is gonna be like a dark academia setting. Everything about this book sounded great. And then everything about this book was so bad. From the writing to the character development or lack thereof, to the big mystery not being developed whatsoever, to the sloppiness of the writing, to the repetitiveness of the writing. It was all so bad. Also, my AC just kicked in and I'm sorry if you can hear it. It's hot here in California, so I'm not gonna turn it off because otherwise I'm going to cook. But my God, I wanted so much from this book and it was just disappointing at every single turn, especially when we got to the middle of this book, which just turned into complete mush because we are dealing with a situation where a character is losing sense of time, which can be reflected in the writing and that can be a lot of fun, but it became so murky that I was unable to tell when anything was happening, when people were talking, when people weren't talking, what was real, what wasn't real. And it was just so jarring because even when we got to the end where that time skippingness has been fixed, it was still a shit show. Like the ending of this book explained nothing of this world and this cool seemingly magic system. Nothing's explained and it made it unbearable to read any second. I dreaded picking up this book. I did not want to finish it, but I was so far in and so invested in what the hell was going on that I had to finish this book. And I just wish I DNF'd it. It would have saved me so much frustration if I DNF'd this book, but I didn't. And I'm forever gonna have to live with that mistake. So I'm telling you that this book, if you're really interested, if you love that Raven cycle feeling, which I do see hints of, I will admit, I do see hints of the Blue and Gangsy relationship going on. And I think this is what I wish I would have known if I'd gone. This is also marketed as kind of like a ninth house meets Raven cycle. And you hear on this channel, no, me and like Lee Bardugo just don't get along. So maybe that's also why I don't like this book. Either way, most disappointing read of 2024. Okay, next, kind of going back onto the positive, we have my biggest surprise of the year, and that is actually going to be Saint by Sierra Simone, which is the third book in the Prettiest. This book came as a surprise because it was part of a vlog where I was reading only dark romances, which is not a genre I'm like the most invested in or like the biggest fan of. I read them every now and again, but they're not something I'm like drawn to like a lot of other creators. And so I had my friend Baron, who's amazing, go check her out, write me a list of books, and one of the books she put on that list was Saint by Sierra Simone, and oh my God, I ate that shit up. I devoured that book. I was so invested. It was the perfect amount of like slow burn and smut and just like forbidden romance because we have this monk and his ex-boyfriend. Oh, it was so good. And the way Sierra Simone wrote it and just how much tension there was, I was like clenching my teeth and my jaw. My shoulders were to my ears as I was like reading through these scenes. It was so good. It was so much fun and I adored every second of it. It was almost a perfect book. I think I gave that book 4 or 5 stars, maybe a 4.5. It was just chef's kiss. Honestly, if anyone's gonna convert me to be a dark romance reader, it might be Sierra Simone because the way that woman wrote, and I would trust her to write me any more dark romances. So I might have to pick up the rest of the series. I might have to read more of her books. So if you have recommendations, either books like that or more Sierra Simone books you want me to read, put them in the comments down below because I'm tempted. And in fact, I'm going to purchase a physical copy of Saint because I want it so much. It's so good. The next question is, what is my new favorite author? I had a really hard time with this question because I haven't read a lot of a single author like that I haven't read before. I haven't read too many new authors this year. I've read only maybe a handful, and while I have Shannon Chakraborty, I don't know if I would say she's a new favorite authors, even though I really, really love that book. Because I like to say favorite authors is they have to write at least 2 books that I adore. I was really unsure what I was gonna choose until I remembered that I read 2 books from an author and I loved both of them. They both got 4 or 5 stars, and that is Martha Wells. So earlier this year, I started reading the Murderbot Diaries, and oh my god, I love that series. It is short and sweet and funny, and Martha Wells just can do so much in only like 150 pages. Like, that's talent. And Murderbot as a main character is so fucking funny and so engaging with everything it says. I fell in love with the series. I will be collecting that series. I want to collect it in hardback because that's my preferred format, which makes it a little harder because these are such short books and they're mostly in paperback. So if you know where I can find them in hardback, let a girl know, because I want them and I want to continue reading that series, especially because my library doesn't have them. So it's up to me to collect them. I must collect them all like little Pokemon, okay? I want them. I adore her. Her writing was so much fun, and I cannot wait to be reading more of her writing and to continue on with the Murderbot series. I actually might have to dive into some of her other series because I think she does fantasy as well. I think she has like a dragon fantasy series. I don't know. She's a beloved author and I can see why. And I am now a fan. I have been converted into the Martha Wells fan club. Catch me at the next fan meeting. Okay, the next question is, who is my newest fictional crush? I don't have a book answer for this. I just haven't read a lot of like romantasy or anything that has like given me a male character that I've fallen in love with. I have been reading a few webtoons on the side that I thought, okay, maybe one of those could be it. But then I thought about it. And the one that comes to mind actually stems from a K-drama, and that is Mr. Yu from Marry My Husband. Oh my god. Oh my god, I watched that this year, and when I tell you, I was obsessed. I was obsessed with the show, with the main character, but especially with Mr. Yu. Oh, look at this man, look at this man. He's so gorgeous. I would marry him in a heartbeat. And he was just such a sweet male love interest for the main character, was so willing to like do everything. He's like, I'm ready to commit murder for you, girl. And swoon, you wanna commit murder for me? Okay, you're gonna give me all your money so I can get revenge on my ex-husband? Say less. I loved him. This is not a side you get to see of me very often, but that show had a chokehold on me. I was telling all my friends, you need to watch Marry My Husband. You need to watch Marry My Husband. You need to watch Marry My Husband because it's so good. It's so much fun. It's just the perfect amount of like drama and also just badass female lead and revenge story. And there's actually really good revenge. Chef's kiss. I loved it so much. I even read the original webtoon that was based off of, and I loved both editions of it so much. But I have to say, Mr. Yu from the K-drama has my heart and soul. I would marry him in a heartbeat. By far the biggest crush I had on a fictional character this year. Okay, but the next question is kind of going in a similar vein. What is my new favorite character? And this one I do actually have a book answer. And if you follow me on Goodreads, you already know the answer to this. But it is Antonia Hex from Spellbound by F.T. Lukens. Oh my god. I adored this book. It was so much fun and sweet and cute, and the romance is great, okay? But the real star of this show, Antonia Hex, she's such a badass. She is such a queen that is not given enough time on the pages. She's like a badass female, I guess witch, maybe warlock? I don't know. All powerful, everyone's afraid of her, and I would bow down as she walked into the room, okay? I would bow down for this woman, gladly let her step on me because, oh my god, she was amazing. She was such a badass, and she was snarky, but she was also really sweet. I loved her relationship with our main character, Rook, and kind of as they kind of created their own found family and got together, and she was a little possessive over him and protective. It was great. I loved it, and I want a whole book of her. F.T. Lukens, if you are somehow watching this video, please, 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 please write me a book with Antonia Hex as the main character. She could be sapphic, give her the greatest love story, give her a tragic love story. Give me anything with Antonia Hex. I would be the first one in line to buy it, okay? And it's a crime that she doesn't get to be on this cover. She doesn't get some form of art. I would die for that woman, okay? I would die for her. I just want to reread this book so I could experience the wonder that's Antonia Hex. So the next question is the book that made me cry. And if you have been following this channel and you watch my magical readathon, you know exactly what book I'm about to say. And that is, of course, Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. What can I say about this book? I love this book. It was a great time. 4 stars. And the reason why it lost that last star is the reason why it made me cry. And that's because, and this is gonna be a spoiler, but like not a huge one, but like one I think you should know is that Robin Hobb is a dog killer. That's right. She committed the cardinal sin. She killed the dog every time. Don't get attached to a dog in this book. She kills them every time. And the audacity of this woman to like make me fall in love with the character who loves dogs and who like can get these like really emotional relationships with them, and then for her to kill them off? Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, I cried. If you didn't cry with a dog dying, you are heartless. Okay, I said it. You are heartless. Of course I cried. And of course I'm gonna be reading the next book. And I'm never gonna trust that woman again when she gives me a dog. Never again. There's not gonna be a nary a dog I trust to stay alive, okay? I'm expecting nothing but tragedy for Fitz and for every other character in this book, okay? Because she can't even keep a dog alive. I don't know why I'm gonna continue this series, because I know I'm gonna cry every book. Dog or not, I'm gonna cry because this woman has such beautiful writing. And everything I've heard is that people are in emotional turmoil for the entire series of not only this book but the entire world, and by the time they get to the last book they're crying buckets of tears. Why I want to put myself through that, I don't know, but I'm gonna, because this first book was amazing and I cannot wait to continue on and see why everyone is crying. So catch me in a couple years where I too will be crying buckets of tears as I reach to the end of this ginormous world. And on the opposite side of that spectrum, what is the book that made me the happiest as I was reading it? So you know, what was I reading after that kind of recovered the awful despair I was in after they killed the dog? That was, of course, the Bromance Book Club by Lindsay K. Adams. So this is another book I recently talked about in my trying to find a 5-star read in my 24 for 24 vlog, so I'm not gonna talk about it too much here. This is a book that was everything I just expected it to be. Like, look at this cover. This cover is just short and sweet and fun. It kind of like tells you it's gonna be silly, like the title, The Bromance Book Club. You know you're gonna be in for a fun time. And it was exactly everything I wanted. I love the characters. I love the kind of silly jokes being made. I love the silly premise of it that didn't take itself too seriously. I was smiling and kicking my feet as reading this book because it was just so easy and fun to fall into and to really kind of give you a serious look on issues and relationships and how it takes 2 to fix them as well as it takes 2 to break them. Great book. I think I rated this 4 stars. So this is another really good read for me. And I think if you're ever in a reading slump and you are maybe not a super big fan of contemporary romance, pick this one up, because I am also not a huge contemporary romance person. I found this book to be a lot of fun and to kind of like help break a reading slump I was actually in. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I will probably be picking up more in this series just because the characters we met in the Bromance Book Club were also so hilarious. I'm interested in seeing how their stories develop and evolve from the brief glimpse we got in this first book. The next question is the most beautiful book I've obtained this year. So when I was watching Baron's video, she made a really good point in that she didn't want to show you special editions because they're so hard to get your hands on. It's kind of like a bragging thing. And I agree with that. Like, if you have special editions, great, love that for you. I bragged about my special edition with The Adventures of Mina al-Sarafi. But for this one, I wanted to give a little love to the traditionally published, the ones you guys can actually pick up yourselves. As a little bonus, it is Pride Month still, so how about some LGBTQ books you can love? And the book that I picked up that I absolutely love is Otherworldly by F.T. Lukens. This is her newest edition, and just look at that book. And this is just the standard issue edition. Like, this is not a special edition. This is the edition I got off of Amazon, and it's stunning. And one thing I love about F.T. Lukens' work is that all her books are of this really pretty quality in terms of their cover. So you saw when I had Spellbound earlier. Spellbound was a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, but even the normal cover has like this foiling like this one does with a green background. I'll throw that up on screen right here. But even her other ones, so like we have So This Is Ever After, and we have In Deeper Waters, all very pretty books, like from their spines as well. These are just these standard published editions. These are not special editions of these books whatsoever. So they're gorgeous. You can pick them up yourselves if you want something really pretty, and they're all of like similar quality. They go so well together because I believe she uses the same artist for each and every one of these, and I'm a big fan of their work. I love this vibrant different color schemes in each of these books and just the amount of detail in every cover. And when they do the foiling as they've done in their last 2 books, oh, so great. Love it so much. And they're actually just a lot of fun too. Like Spellbound was one of my favorite reads this year, and I'm getting through Otherworldly and I'm also really enjoying that. So things to keep in mind. And the next question is, what books do you have to read before the end of the year? And the answer to that's so many. Like I have these 2 shelves that are all supposedly my TBR to get to the end of the year, but by far the biggest challenge, my biggest TBR that is kind of a ticking clock over my head before the end of the year is my 24 for 2024 reading challenge, which let's go ahead and just go over there and see what I'm talking about. Okay, so we are in front of my shelves for my 24 for 2024 reading challenge, and I'm gonna flip you around. As you can see, I still have quite the number of books left to read. Here, you see all the books. These are all the popsicle sticks for the books. So you can see that I have quite a bit left for the end of the year, and I'll be honest, I don't know how likely I am to finish, which is so sad. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it, even though I want to so bad. I just haven't been drawn to these books as much as I've been drawn to other things on my shelves. So we'll have to see if I can force myself through and continue on to complete that challenge. And the very last question for this tag is, what was your favorite book to movie adaptation? This one was kind of tough, and I'm actually just gonna steal Baron's answer for this, and that is Dune 2. Dune is the only book to movie adaptation I've watched this year, and it was okay. I liked it. It was very pretty. Getting to see like those really cool shots was amazing, and Zendaya's in it, and Austin Butler was in it. It was a fun time. Did I watch Dune 1? No, but I read the graphic novel. I understood the gist of it. I didn't need to watch and enjoy Dune 2, and neither do you. If that's something that's holding you back, just go watch Dune 2. I do that all the time. I'll go see a sequel without watching the first movie in theaters. Great time every time. You get you're a little lost and then you figure it out. But that's my cop-out answer. Thanks, Baron, for providing it. I'm just gonna steal that over here. But that is all the questions for the mid-year book freakout. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you had a bit of fun with it. If you were working as you're listening, I hope you're having a great day at work. I hope you're getting a lot done. And thank you all for being here. This was a really fun tag to do because it's just a way to like see you progress over the years and to progress through your channel. This is the second time I'm doing this tag. I think the first time I did this was maybe one of my first 2 or 3 videos, and it's really fun to return to it after so long and to see how I've maybe improved in my quality, theoretically, hopefully, maybe sorta, and just to again have this as like a nice little time capsule of what am I enjoying in the year of 2024, at least in the first half. We'll have to see how this list changes when we reach the end of the year. Maybe I have some more that kind of dethrone the best book I've read so far, or what is my most disappointing read. Who will know? Time will tell. But I want to thank you all so much for watching, and if you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know what was your answers to these questions. What was your biggest disappointment? What was your favorite read of the year? What are you most anticipating for the next half of the year? Let me know in the comments down below, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!